M4 American Premium Tier 8 Heavy Tank, and we are here on Sacred Valley. I just finished this game, and I knew right away that it was Tactics Talk worthy, not because it's an amazing game by me or anyone else really on this team, but because something happened in it that sometimes when I'm in a game I just look at and shake my head and say, what on earth is going on here? And we'll get to that in a minute, but let's start off with looking at the teams. I've got a pretty good team, and you can see right away with a quick look, and hopefully anyone on the team could see this, but apparently they don't, that we have a pretty good overmatch in the heavies up top. In addition to that, even down in the middle, even though it looks like they've got a pretty good overmatch in mediums, we've got a bunch of Tier 9 mediums stacked up down there and some Tier 8s or a Tier 8. And overall, we just have a really good setup for this map to dominate on both sides. And you'll see that as we deploy, in fact, most of the team looks like they are recognizing this. I've got the E100 and the I7 coming my way. Those three T28 prototypes head off that way and eventually will come back to us. But I figure we're fairly light, so we're probably going to run into some of the Tier 8 heavies, and it'll get a little dicey if they push real hard with all those 10 mediums up here because they can get around us and tear us down. But we have a really good force heading up to the hill down there on J9 where the mediums typically go. So that being said, I'm going to be a little bit cagey in here. I don't want to go rushing way up forward and just get overmatched and crushed, especially by those new M4 49s, which are very difficult to take down, although the T34 little gold works pretty well, and even the regular pen on the AP is also good. So I'm actually going to stack up on this corner. We got the E100 and the IS-7. The E100 gets in there, doesn't really leave any room for the IS-7. The IS-7 just sits there, and I'm thinking, man, that doesn't look good. That looks like a couple guys that really are very passive and don't really look like they know what they're doing. So I truck on in because I've also seen, as you look down in the south, that the T62 and some of the other mediums are actually up on that hill and our guys are taking them on. So that looks like we probably have a force we can deal with over here, especially considering we got an IS-7 and an E100. And that's kind of what I expected. There's that guy right there. And he takes a little pot shot, and I'm kind of sitting here for a while looking at this. I don't want to go run around, get tracked, and then get pummeled by both these guys. This M449 is trying to get me to shoot so he can come around, trying to bait some shots. Show you what that's looking like. Now, I'm not coming around that corner any more than that. You do have to be careful because he's got a forward turret fairly well forward on his hull, as do I. If I go too much forward right there, it is very possible he could pop me in that right front quadrant, and I wouldn't be able to return fire. Just kind of depends how you come around. That's really what he's trying to do, is maybe see if he can get a little bit of a pixel on me right there and take a shot without exposing his front left as he's looking at it. And our heavies are now shooting. If you look at it, you can tell that in the south we are pushing them back pretty well. We've already dropped 4 of their tanks. I'm going to sneak one in, and that's what I was talking about right there. I got the edge of his hull as it was poking out. The 01 gets pummeled, and now we've got 4 of these guys here. Now, I haven't talked about what's going on behind me much, so let's turn around and look at it. You've probably been looking at the mini-map and wondered, what on earth are those 2 guys doing? Well, they're sitting back there taking pot shots. And here come the prototypes. I told you they would move in and become a factor here later on, and here they are. So they finally wandered over this way, which is good. And we've got a bunch of 8s up here and a 6. And there's 2 Tier 10 heavies that could absolutely walk through these guys sitting back there. Well, let's see how this develops then. I sort of noticed that about this time in the game, so now I'm sort of curious what on earth those 2 are going to do. I'm seeing that the game is starting to be won. Usually I'll get a little aggressive in here and poke and prod and try to get out there, get some damage in, because I know that the game's going to start getting wrapped up pretty quickly here. But I'm so fascinated by what the IS-7 and the E100 are doing back there that I just sit. And I'm curious if at any point they're actually going to drive up behind and start taking on these Tier 8s that they could eat for lunch. Still not happening. So let's talk about it. If you're a new player, or intermediate player, and you're learning how to read the map, this one should be fairly easy. If you look at the map, we've got the mediums that have pushed down into the south. They're into the backfield, taking out the arty, killing any campers that are still back there. We've completely enveloped the enemy team. The enemy team owns about 1/3, maybe a quarter of the map. So we've got near complete map control. The rest of their heavies are all stacked up in this little alcove up here. And we've got 2 Tier 10s sitting back on the B line. This is the time, and actually it was a while ago, but let's say you actually got this far. This is the time for you to move those E100 and IS7 tier 10s up here and start getting your damage. It is definitely time to get in there. But they seem to be content, see what they're doing, to sit there. The E100 gets another shot. He actually gets one kill in there, or the IS7 does. And that's another example of getting my front right corner of my tank hit. Now he's on a reload, so I'm going to pop in here and take the shot and then back up. Now here he comes. I'm on a reload, so he's trying to get around. But, oh, hey, thanks, IS7. It's about time. But the E100, the angry goblin, is still sitting back there in an E100, and he just missed. So I'm quite happy to come up here and get my damage. If you look at it, there's only 3 tanks left. This was very predictable what was going to happen here. And even if the E100 took a couple hits, it wouldn't really matter because they didn't have enough DPM to take him out, especially with me and the IS7 there. So he left a lot of HP on the table that he could have had. The IS7 moves up here. I get a little hung up on the IS7 here, unfortunately, and he's tracked, so he can't get out of my way. Bad on me, I did not shift my hole enough. E100 gets in finally and bounces because he fails to aim. The angry goblin, and we end up cleaning this thing up. So there's a quick tactics talk on analyzing the team at the beginning, looking at how the flow of the battle is going to go. The flow of the battle went more or less how I suspected it would, and if those 2 tier 10s had noticed that at all early on, they'd have got a bunch more damage in there. I hope this helps. Take care.